Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
I'm Tim Stanovic along with Carol Massar. Let's take a look at some stocks on the move today. With us is a Bloomberg News reporter, Denitsa Sakova. Denitsa, what is on your radar?
Let's look at KBR. That's one of the biggest decliners today. It dropped as much as 8.6%. So this is an engineering company that has a lot of government contracts. We're talking Department of Defense, we're talking NASA, we're talking a lot of those big names. And today there was an announcement that one of the contracts was terminated by the U.S. Transportation Command. It's interesting because the company says that this development is not expected to have a material impact. They had a really strong earnings report, but clearly, obviously on a very low volume day, markets are reacting quite negatively.
Investors think differently, maybe about that material impact.
Indeed. BI says that the termination of the contract may reflect risks to government service providers, and obviously that company has a lot of exposures to government contract. BI was actually very bullish after the earnings report, just because the company has stayed away from risky infrastructure contract and relied on government contracts, but clearly that's a problem now. The stock is down more than 15% year to date, and I think it's a good proxy to see with all those companies who are relying heavily on government contracts. So it's an interesting name. Agreed.
And right, it looks like there are some that will maybe do well going forward and some that might not, and this one certainly seems under pressure again. KBR is the ticker, and it's down 7%. Let's go to one that has been on fire this month.
Yes, I keep checking the price. Now it's nearly 700%. It's about 670. It just never stops.
Does the stock go down?
No.
Okay.
It actually went down 2 days, but it's so small that you cannot see it on the chart.
Ticker, please.
CRCL. Today rose as much as 25%, and it's actually because they initiated a buy rating at Seaport. But the buy rating was 235% price tag, which was already reached today. We're a little bit lower now, but it just tells you how rapid this rally is. Obviously, that's a name that just IPO'd. There has been big legislation in the Senate that is moving, setting up regulatory rules.
What does Circle Internet do?
Sorry?
Stable coins.
Yes, stable coins.
Thank you, crypto dude.
And not
crypto
only,
dude. I'm not crypto man.
You've
not
graduated.
Crypto boy.
Yeah.
Crypto
You were
dude.
upgraded to crypto.
I was
I know.
Crypto dude.
Congrats.
Okay, thank
He's
you.
been upgraded. He's been
Appreciate
upgraded. Okay, so
they're going beyond stable coins. They have a payments network to help financial institutions. So that's why we saw MasterCard and Visa falling the other day. So it's a little bit more than just stable coin. But anyway, a lot of optimism there.
unbelievable.
I finally conconvinced Carol to do one of these as her gainer.
I know. You're like, you have to do this. You have to do this. And you know what? Once again, he was right. Kroger.
Yeah, that's a very different company. Rose as much as 10% on a good earnings
There
report.
could be a Kroger stablecoin in our future to buy groceries.
Everything is possible.
Anything's possible.
We need that.
They're not doing it. We're just speculating.
We're just speculating. Good earnings report, sign that consumers, we're so worried about consumers, but they're still spending on those essentials. Obviously, Kroger has a lot of groceries. And one thing we're seeing when consumers are pulling out, they're eating more at home. So that's one reason perhaps a brand like Kroger is not necessarily seeing so much pressure. The report was really good. Comparable sales rose 3.2%. The company raised its full year sales guidance. The CEO said that the company has seen an improvement in grocery volumes. So overall, pretty bullish about the consumers. Of course, this is just kind of an essential chain, so we cannot say that necessarily it means that the consumer is doing so much better, but one good sign that consumers continue to spend on necessities and groceries.
Gotta eat. I think I heard Paul Sweeney say this morning.
You can't eat stable coins.
That's true.
That's right.
I'm told.
You can eat those chocolate
Yeah.
coins. Remember those little chocolate coins we used to get?
Yeah.
Oh, I love those.
I know. Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.